Shalom, shalom, family. They call it convenience, but we know it's a weapon. Today I'm going to talk about the modern day food industry and how it's become a silent field of bio-warfare against the set-apart people. We've been lulled into a sleep that's rotting our bodies and dimming our ruach, but the voice of Yahuwah is crying out, wake up! It's time to stop making excuses, reject the pharmakia of the world, and return to the ancient paths. Today we're talking about why holistic living isn't just a health trend, it's a covenant duty. We are the Natsarym, the branches, the watchmen. Our job is to see the danger before it hits the camp. Look at what we're consuming, additives, GMOs, and food that doesn't even recognize the soil it came from. Let's not even mention possibly humans. This isn't just bad luck. It's a systematic attack on the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. Matthew Matthew 7:14 says, because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life, and there are few who find it. The broad road is filled with the fast, the processed, and the toxic. We must choose the narrow path and be disciplined. Yahuwah is about holistic restoration. He doesn't just want your heart, he wants your whole being. When we ignore his dietary instructions, we ignore his wisdom. Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah 6:16 says, stand by the ways and see and ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it. Then you will find a resting place for your souls. The ancient paths aren't just about the Shabbat. They're about how we eat, how we live, and how we honor the life he gave us. Bereshit 129 is the original blueprint. Leviticus 11 is the blueprint that was given after we were already in a fallen state after the flood. But even then, the meat industry in today's world is corrupted. You go to the store, we don't know what has been sacrificed, what we are eating, whether it's human flesh or the blood of an ox or a lamb or a chicken, which is also a scavenger, FYI. We must do the work to dismantle the lies and return to truth. There are no more excuses. We can't say grace covers it, while we willingly poison the very vessel Yahuwah gave us to do his work. Proverbs 28:9, Mishaleh 28:9. He who turns his ear from hearing the Torah instruction, even his prayer is an abomination. Return to the garden. Return to the foods that heal. We are being called out of the Babylonian systems that profit from our sickness. Mishpachah, it's time to be the Natsarym we were called to be. Protect your house, cleanse your temple. The king is coming, and he is looking for a bride who is ready, body, soul, and spirit. Take heed to the different videos I'm about to share. And if it ministers to you, please like it, share it, that it may reach more people. Much shalom and much ahava. Until we meet again.
Something about America's food system has never made sense. And once you start doing the math, it becomes impossible to ignore. Beef and chicken, our two main staple meats, are eaten in staggering, non-stop quantities every single day. But when you compare what we eat to what we actually produce, the numbers simply don't match. Take beef. McDonald's alone serves 6.5 million burgers a day. That's one chain. Now add Burger King, Wendy's, Jack in the Box, Five Guys, Carl's Jr., and all the rest. Then add every diner, every steakhouse, every school cafeteria, every gas station, every freezer aisle, every grocery store, and then add what people cook at home. And we're not even counting the beef we export to other countries. Now do the same math for chicken, the most consumed protein in America. Fast food chains run on it. Restaurants serve it constantly. Families buy it in bulk. It's in frozen meals, soups, canned foods, military rations, meal kits, and even pet foods. We eat chicken in volumes far beyond anything recorded in previous decades. But here's the problem. The number of cows and chickens in the country doesn't come close to matching the amount we're supposedly consuming. Animals take time to grow. Herd sizes are documented. Production cycles are tracked. Imports don't fill the gap, and exports make the gap even worse. So how do we keep up with an endless, bottomless demand, day after day, year after year? If the math doesn't add up, then what exactly are we eating?
When McDonald's is the largest purchaser of ground beef in the United States, and they want their hamburgers to taste everywhere exactly the same, they change how ground beef is produced. The McDonald's Corporation is the largest purchaser of potatoes and one of the largest purchasers of pork, chicken, tomatoes, lettuce, even apples. These big fast food chains want big suppliers, and now there are essentially a handful of companies controlling our food system. In the 1970s, the top 5 beef packers controlled only about 25% of the market. Today, the top 4 control more than 80% of the market. You see the same thing happening now in pork. Even if you don't eat at a fast food restaurant, you're now eating meat that's being produced by this system. You look at the labels and you see farmer this, farmer that. It's really just 3 or 4 companies that are controlling the meat. We've never had food companies this big and this powerful in our history. Tyson, for example, is the biggest meatpacking company in the history of the world. The industry changed the entire way that chicken are raised. Birds are now raised and slaughtered in half the time they were 50 years ago. But now they're twice as big. People like to eat white meat, so they redesigned the chicken to have large breasts. They not only changed the chicken, they changed the farmer. Today, chicken farmers no longer control their birds. A company like Tyson owns the birds from the day they're dropped off until the day that they're slaughtered.
Let me go to the top.
This is the
National Chicken Council. The chicken industry has really set a model for the integration of production and processing and marketing of the products that other industries are now following because they see that we've achieved tremendous economies.
You guys, there is over 14,000 McDonald's in the USA. McDonald's produces over 6.5 million burgers a day to be consumed a day. And McDonald's claims to go through over 7 million cows a day. So where are all the cows? Where are all the cows? Okay, I mean, we have a beef shortage here, yet they continue to consume that much in one day at McDonald's. Remember what I said, how many McDonald's there are? All over this country, almost 14,000 McDonald's in the entire continental United States. The illusion behind America's beef supply numbers. Is it false? Is it true? Are you really eating beef at McDonald's?
We are eating ourselves.
Wow.
Let me say that again.
Wow.
We are eating human. We are eating ourselves.
What the fuck?
And this is why I say what I say. The more I eat it, the way that I feel, what my spirit is telling me. And like I said before, there is no plants in any building. There's no amount of plants in any building across the world that can produce as much as meat as we eat. But guess what? They are producing every day.
Oh, shit.
Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, shit.
There's nothing growing that fast to be able to feed Wendy's, McDonald's, Popeyes, JJ's, Sharks, this fine dining restaurant, that fine dining restaurant. You tell me what's growing that fast and what's moving that fast besides people dying.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Cannibalism is not illegal in the United States with the exception of one state.
What?
The only state in the United States where cannibalism is illegal is the state of Idaho.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I am not leaving my house today.
White people have always indulged in cannibalism. They ate their slaves and they ate black people that were free after the Emancipation Proclamation, after lynchings.
You are literally feeding your kids plastic glue and industrial lubricants. I'm talking about Oreos, that cream in the middle. It's not cream at all. It's rapeseed oil whipped with emulsifiers that act like edible glue holding the sludge together. And the cookie part strip cocoa and chemical stabilizers enough to start clogging your arteries if you eat them too much. I scanned them with the Reveal It app and it came back as 82% processed. This is unbelievable.
All the grocery stores in America couldn't begin to get the meat that the country needs from the other 15% that didn't get consolidated. So they are forced to buy from the giant corporate conglomerates. But these meat packers are now able to control what meat is sold, what grade of meat goes to which retailer in what city. And we've always recognized, growing up in the South, that some of the best vegetables and some of the best products in agriculture goes to the biggest markets. I understand it. People in New York, Chicago, LA pay more so they get the more premium product a lot of times. That's just business. There's a big difference whenever four companies now are dictating who gets what, where, and when, and what the retailer has to pay. And somebody may say, well, the retailer doesn't have to buy from. Yes, they do, because they can't get the quantity of meat that we need in our grocery stores without going to those very same four providers.
Now, when I started looking into Moink, they educated me on the meat industry, and I want to share with you all a couple of facts. According to Moink magazine, 60% of all pork is produced by one company in the U.S., and that is 100% owned by the Chinese. Four companies control over 80% of the meat industry in the United States. More than 10,000 different additives are allowed in the U.S. food supply. 99% of chicken, 95% of hogs, 78% of cattle in the U.S. are raised in confinement buildings or feedlots. Means they're not moving around freely. 80% of the antibiotics consumed in the U.S. are fed to animals. Here's a stat. In 2016, 18.4 million pounds of antibiotics were sold for livestock. And that's what you're eating. Suicide rates amongst farmers are the highest than any other profession, and that includes veterans, believe it or not. I found that alarming.
The meat industry doesn't want you to know. It doesn't want you to know that most meat comes from factory farmed animals. Or that the animal it kills are still children. Or that it breeds deformed animals on purpose. Or that it's producing antibiotic-resistant bugs. Or that humane slaughter doesn't exist. Or that is lying to you with its welfare labels. Or that consuming meat is unhealthy. Or that is the world's food industry for the environment. The meat industry wants your money. It wants your land and your water. It wants your crops and your taxes. But it doesn't want you to know the truth.
This machine is 3D printing steak. The goal is to create a piece of meat without killing a cow. And this Israeli startup is one of the dozens of companies racing to perfect the process.
It turns out that cows aren't necessarily the most efficient way of making beef.
It's no secret that beef is one of the most damaging foods for the planet. The search for a solution has become a big business. But can lab-grown steak or plant-based alternatives really fix the broken beef industry? On average, tropical rainforests the size of El Salvador are cleared every year to make room for cattle. These cows release tons of methane, one of the most potent greenhouse gases. Then there are the emissions from slaughtering, processing, packaging, and transporting beef. Globally, beef was responsible for 3 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions in 2010. A study funded by the company found that, pound for pound, its product generates about 90% less greenhouse gas emissions than traditional beef.
Did you know that USA chicken has been banned in the EU since 1997? Why would they do that? It's because of this. See where it says up to 6% retained water or up to 7% retained water? That means after these chickens are slaughtered, they're dunked in a chlorinated chemical bath to cool them down and to disinfect them. And the EU considers this a sign of poor hygiene behavior in the supply chain. And to make matters even worse, if 7% of this is retained water in my chicken, what am I paying for? Water weight.
After what I've learned, I'm reading one word on meat labels that most people don't even know exists, because the next chicken breast you see might come with quite a little upgrade in wording: cell cultivated. And here's the part that nobody's ready for. You won't be seeing lab grown in big scary letters. You'll see something that sounds almost natural. So what is it? It's meat made by growing animal cells, then forming food from that material. And yes, the US regulators already made a pathway for it. The FDA literally calls this category human-made cultured animal cells. For meat and poultry, it's going to be an oversight committee of the FDA for the cell side and the USDA for the controlling of the label side. Now here's the kicker. The USDA has already approved labels like cell cultivated chicken for the first cultivated chicken products, and cultivated seafood is moving along too. Wild Type received an FDA no questions letter for cultured salmon cell material.
So I've been to Kroger, I've been to Target, I've been to Walmart, I've been to Aldi, Food Lion, Piggly Wiggly, Whole Foods, and Fresh Thyme. Every single one of them has a prepackaged ground meat that will not tell you, number one, where it comes from, number two, where it's packaged, and what kind of procedures that it goes through in order for us to know that it's safe. If you ask them behind the counter, they're going to tell you there's a thing on the back, scan it with your phone, and it's going to take you to a website that the FDA has put out there. And what it's going to say is, it could either be 3D printed, it could be a cloned animal. Let's just put it out there. If that's a problem, well, TikTok, you need to check the FDA website, because it says it could be. Folks, God, I gotta be careful. Let's just say this. Our food ain't food anymore.
He says he was forced to make old food look fresh. That's why he secretly recorded his supervisor admitting tampering with best before dates is industry standard.
Every store does the same thing. All the other stores do the same.
At his home, Safari demonstrates what he says is done at work. He takes cheesecakes weeks past their best before dates, adds new toppings, and sells as fresh.
I decorate it, and I'm selling expired stuff for...
In a national online call-out, Marketplace hears from grocery workers at smaller stores and big chains, sharing stories of food tampering. He used to work in a Toronto area supermarket. He shows us how he was told to give old meat new life.
If it's like this, we would dabble in a little bit of blood, throw it into the meat mincer with some redder meats, and then all together it would make it look red. And then we put it back up on the shelf.
At the University of Guelph, a microbiologist simulated what grocery insiders told us they do. He discovered toxins and bacteria.
Of a cow during slaughter,
But the whole meat industry was premised on the fact that the slaughterhouses and the beef packers could essentially do whatever they wanted to do. And it was up to consumers to cook the E. coli out of the product.
If you buy a piece of steak, that's a piece of meat from one animal. If there is E. coli, it's on the outside. It's not in the middle. So searing the steak would help kill that. The problem is that when you buy ground beef, you now take the outsides and there are the insides.
Not only are you bringing all the animals together and slaughtering them in the same facility, now you're taking chunks of multiple animals and you're grinding them all up into one big mess.
Hamburger sometimes is the result of mixing meat from as many as 400 animals. Kind of awful to think about.
Zaher used to work in the industry.
What did you do with meat that was past its best before date?
He gears up to give us a demo.
Something like this, they would take, they dip it in blood, just dabble it a little bit.
And we've simulated some blood here.
Yeah. So just dabble it like that. And then as you can see, it looks a lot redder.
That's what you would do? You would take the brown meat and turn it red?
Yeah, so we would turn it red. And then if like, again, we do it as many times as possible, we just keep flipping it. We would rewrap them and put down a new sticker, which came with a new best before date that extended the shelf life.
And you won't look at ground beef the same when you hear this.
If it's really bad, if it's like this, we would dabble in a little bit of blood, throw it into the meat mincer with some redder meats, and then all together, it would make it look red. And then we put it back up on the shelf.
And people would buy this?
Yeah, all the time.
Sounds misleading, but can it be risky too? Food safety expert Keith Warner helps us recreate what we've heard is going on with meat. We mix meat that's 4 days past its best before date with new.
How's it smell?
I'll let you do the honors.
Not too good, not too good.
Turn it on. So how's this new blend look?
Looks totally fresh, it's well disguised.
Yeah, that looks good.
But could it be bad for you? We send it off for testing.
I'm curious how it tested.
So what we found was the meat was absolutely loaded with bacteria after only 1 day. It was loaded with these type of bacteria called Enterobacteriaceae. And what they do is that these can break down the meat proteins to make something called biogenic amines, which are toxic chemicals, which can cause asthma, mood changes, all sorts.
People who bought that meat wouldn't know that it was spoiled because it'd been mixed up with the good-looking meat.
Exactly, it was deception at its worst, isn't it? Totally unethical. And in this case, it goes beyond ethics, doesn't it? It goes to safety and things like that.
Zaher has experience working in the grocery biz. Like others we hear from, he says mixing old meat with new happened all the time.
Who told you to do this?
So the butcher and my supervisor, or a lot of times he'd bring it in for me. He'd bring in like a stack of like meats that were brown, slam them on the table and be like, Zaher, unwrap these and relabel them and stack them back up on the shelves.
In the World Health Organization, it says that if you eat meat, it will cause cancer.
So all processed meat, which most meat is processed, because it has to be. You got to think, if you slice something up or kill something, there's no way possible for it to last the length of time that it lasts. I mean, if you run a dog over out there and come back 2 days later, it's going to smell, look, and have things coming out of it. It goes into rigor mortis, and then all of a sudden it starts to break down. So how is it that meat can be in this grocery store for weeks and days? Because most of the meat you're eating, it's in there in the process for months. They didn't just slice the animal open and then brought it over to the supermarket. And you know, sometimes when you go in there, you'll see the meat, it'll look sort of gray and brown.
Yes.
That's the meat that the dye has ran out of it. You have to spray it with dye. You got to think, anything that dyes is going to change colors. It can't keep its color because the color is coming from the blood.
When you eat meat, it turns in, your body makes it into a sugar. And then after it reaches a certain level of sugar, it turns it into fat. So you can get overweight from eating meat. You can get overweight from eating starch. You can get overweight because your body makes its own sugar. And that's what causes people to be overweight. They think eating a low-carb bread will solve the problem, but it's the meat that will put on fat. This is made from the scrap meat that's on the slaughterhouse floor. They have a machine that separates it. So this is pork and chicken and beef all mixed together, plus it's spoiled.
But it's all one color.
That's because they put dye in it. They dye this rotten meat. It's actually green. And it's going to cause constipation, and it's caused fermentation. Then you can get funky arms because the fumes be coming out through your arms. Then your feet's going to stink because all that's rotten and stinking in your body. So the fumes are going to come out your body. You're going to need deodorant soap after a while.
But you need it anyway.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do need deodorant.
You do.
You do too. Everybody does.
Because you're eating rotten food. The natural deodorant is chlorophyll. If you eat chlorophyll, you wouldn't need the deodorant. This food has been perfumed and deodorized to smell like food and to look like food, but it's not food. It's cooked, and the minerals are too hard, and your body can't break them down.
You mean to tell me you don't use any deodorant?
It's chlorophyll that I use. Chlorophyll.
Where do you get chlorophyll from?
Fresh, green, leafy vegetables. Romaine lettuce, spinach. Eating it raw, you get the chlorophyll. It's a natural deodorant. The meat industry and the sugar industry are powerful, and they basically manipulate the Food and Drug Administration to pass laws. They don't list the ingredients on the label. They don't list the ingredients in chewing gum on the label because the Food and Drug Administration is manipulated to do these things, and that keeps people ignorant. If you don't want to eat right for yourself, just eat right so the children can see there's another way to eat.
In fact, a good portion of it is all human meat. All human. It's all human. The amount of people killed, sacrificed, ground up, and fed back to you is more than the cattle that's on the earth. Let's put it that way. Okay? We would steer clear of any type of ground meat unless you literally are getting it from a farm where they process their food right there and then, in which case, really it's usually a farm. They've got a little store there. They've got, their own package system, their own meat system. Short of that, we wouldn't recommend any type of ground meat to be consumed if you're concerned with whether you're participating in cannibalism or not. And the biggest issue, besides the obvious for most people moral issue of eating another human being, is the energy behind it. And also your bodies are not designed to consume each other, so they cause it causes health problems as well, and things of that nature. And we know that you all have participated in it so far in your lives. Everybody's been eating this stuff. Everybody's been eating the fast food hamburgers. Everybody's been eating the ground up stuff and things like that. But we're just telling you, in fact, a good portion of it is all human meat. All human. It's all human. The amount of people killed, sacrificed.
What you've been eating for the last 500 years. Starch and blood. Starch and blood. If I take those two compounds or those two items and put them into a biochemical perspective and begin to do analysis, what are we going to find in starch that would nourish my body when my body is made of electrons? There are no electrons in starch. So how am I going to replenish my energy? Then you drink blood because you like to eat that meat. Lamb, goat, cows and chicken are hybrids, and they're not African. But you go to Africa today, that is all they eat. When God made things that depend on a specific food. And we will begin with the plants. Is iron. And what plant is that? The burdock, the sarsaparilla, or the marula. But if I want to treat your bones, I gotta use calcium. But I have to go to a plant that has calcium. So I have to go to the ocean. That they call is sea moss, Irish moss. Africa was never supposed to eat meat and starch because these are not the product of Africa. Go and tell that to the Africans today. You get yourself in big trouble.
According to the Bible, chickens is actually very unclean, and you should not be eating chicken. You will see a chicken eat a snake. You will see a chicken eat a mouse. You will see the chicken eat a dead chicken. Chickens will eat anything, even poop. But if you look at Leviticus 11, all of the clean birds that we were told to eat are herbivores. They eat plants, they eat seeds. All of the unclean are scavengers or meat eaters. So if chickens are meat eaters, they're omnivores and they eat each other. And why should you be eating it? And it's very foreign to Judea and Israel as well. well. Romans brought chickens into Judea because they introduced cockfighting, which is literally watching cocks just fight each other for entertainment. Chickens are fake. It's a hybrid. They mix two fowls together and they got a chicken. And when you see hen in the scripture, it's actually supposed to be translated as bird. It's a mistranslation.
10 reasons chicken is unhealthy. Pay attention, all right? Plus 5 herbs to cleanse it. Chicken isn't a clean protein, even if it's marked cage-free, farm-raised, halal. All these names they use are marketing terms. That doesn't change the chemistry of what the meat actually is. So here's the facts most people never hear. First, chicken is constantly raised with antibiotics, which is contributing to resistant bacteria in the food chain. Plus, they're a fake hybrid creature that die on their own, in many cases within 8 weeks if they're not packaged by then. And then also the feed contains industrial residue, which ends up in the animal's tissue. Plus, they only take about 40 days to reach their market weight when real chickens would naturally take 160 days. And also the meat is already carcinogenic, meaning cancer causing. Every cancer research site will tell you this. And when you add high heat to it, meaning cooking it, grilling it, frying it, whatever, this creates even more carcinogenic HCAs and PAHs on the surface. And the ones you eat also are so unhealthy, many die just from fear of a thunderstorm when they hear thunder because their heart is so bad and their breasts are so big they can't even walk because they pump them full of antibiotics just to keep them alive. And then fourth, the chicken's skin is high in omega-6 fats, which promotes inflammation when you eat this. Plus, it increases your risk of blood and prostate cancer. Every cancer research site also tells you this if you don't believe me. And then fifth, when you're eating those grocery store chickens, it's injected with sodium solutions, which also raise your risk of kidney failure and high blood pressure. And then they even give them arsenic for faster weight gain, which is the #1 ingredient in rat poisoning, and that's what you're eating. And then chicken digestion produces inflammatory byproducts that irritate your digestion and mess up your gut. And then oxidized chicken fat generates cell damage and free radicals in the body, especially when you're cooking it. And then the chickens frequently carry salmonella, which is a deadly bacteria, especially when undercooked. And then breaded fried chicken, which a lot of people is eating, causes rapid glucose spikes, which is causing that diabetes. And then you're cooking it in frying oils, trans fats, which are linked to cellular inflammation and cardiovascular stress. And you only eat the chicken because it's seasoned with vegetables to make it taste better. I said this in a video probably 6 years ago, right? You're putting thyme on it, basil, pepper, garlic, lemon, cayenne, etc. So if you or someone you know still eats it, here's how to cleanse it up out of your system. First, you need the herb dandelion root. This is for the liver filtration to push it up out of you. And then yellow dock is great for digestion and removing that waste that's stuck up in your colon, in your intestines. And then that Jamaican sarsaparilla is a toxic binding herb which pushes all those chemicals and toxins up out of you. And then you definitely need that nettle leaf to reduce that inflammation that's caused by all meat, especially chicken. Then you need that sea moss. This remineralizes your body and restores it back to its normal point.
I discovered that the chicken was not a natural bird. That it was a crossbreed between an African jungle fowl and a buzzard or a vulture. I was shocked. See, the buzzard eats everything and anything, and it had the most incredible tasting meat on the earth. Because it ate everything. It had every flavor built into its flesh. Because you are what you eat, so the buzzard was what it ate. Everything. The African jungle fowl only ate grain, and it also ate food that was left over in the villages in Africa, but it wasn't afraid of humans. So it wasn't domesticated, but it wasn't afraid. But its meat tasted terrible. So they figured that it was very hard to catch the vulture and eat him. This was way back in the days. But if they took a jungle fowl and a vulture and somehow got them to go out on a date, that they would come up with a brand new bird, the chicken. Well, the chicken was an albino bird that does not live in nature by itself. You'll never find a chicken anywhere in the world running around. Only on farms. You have to change the biochemistry of things that are natural. The chicken is not natural. It doesn't run away. It doesn't fight for itself.
Can Christians eat chicken? I would say no. I want to give you my reasoning on why I say no. Now, as you can see on this picture, the chicken is eating something unclean. It's eating a rat. And the Bible says whatever touches something unclean becomes unclean, and rat is considered unclean. And chickens in their natural habitat are omnivores, so they eat things like meat, rat, and seeds, etc. You can rebuttal and say, what if you farm raise it and make sure that it only eats grains? You could do the same thing for pig, and they can only eat grains, but it's still an unclean animal because it usually and will eat these types of things. It's not a clean bird. And it's a new bird. It's a bird that was breeded from like a fowl, which is an unclean bird, and some other kind of bird. The history is pretty deep. I would do some research on your own.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Somebody explain to me why this is actual hair on this chicken thigh that I got. Growing out of the chicken skin. Actual hair, not feather. Look at how that's laying. That's not even laying like no feather or nothing. That's a hair. And I even pulled a couple out. It don't look nothing like, that looks like a hair follicle. That don't look nothing like the root of no dang on chicken feather. Look at that. Oh, hell no. Look at that.
Bro, that is a human hair.
What is it? It's a freaking hair follicle, looks like. Somebody please tell me that I'm tripping on this.
What are you getting, guys?
Look at these. This is not like, you always get at least one piece that has feathers on it.
And the little feathers don't even look like that. Like, they look like little clear pieces.
That slid out. That didn't even hold on like how the feathers normally hold on. It slid out, and that looks like a hair follicle at the end. It doesn't even look like what the freaking feather quails or whatever quills, whatever you call them, and the feathers. This is just disgusting.
Can I just swallow my own blood?
Ew, okay.
Pause, cause that doesn't even look like chicken meat. Look at the color difference. The color of the other meat is red. Chicken meat is pink. And look at the difference in the skin. Like, how did those dark spots come on to the chicken like that? And where the fuck did the hairs come from?
There's like a cut there. That looks like a human flesh wound.
Bro, the hair looks curly.
Look at that. Like, what is going on, y'all?
Can you please break down and drop the science about the chicken? My people need to hear this, fam. They need to hear this because I saw that thing you put up on your Instagram, and I was like, that blew my wig all the way back. So could you take the time out to explain to my audience about why?
So the chicken is not a hybrid. The chicken is GMO. The chicken was actually created by splicing genes and introducing certain type of DNA into what you are called a red-winged jungle fowl and a black gray-winged jungle fowl from Africa. That's where you get chickens from. Chickens are not real, and because they were actually created in a laboratory per se, I'm gonna say that the reason why, because they did gene splicing to them. They're acidic to the body. They create a whole lot of uric acid. They also, when you cook them, they turn into heterocyclic amines. Heterocyclic amines is very malignant forming to the cells, meaning it causes cancerous cells. And then the smell from it comes from something called hydroaromatic hydrocarbons. And these hydroaromatic hydrocarbons is bad. It causes throat cancer. Chickens are just bad, and their eggs are bad too. And then plus it's a meat. So they'll tell you that chickens come from the dinosaurs were their ancestors. And that's a complete lie, because when you look at the genealogy of the chicken, especially what the Rothschilds and the DuPonts at the Rothschilds Museum in Jerusalem in New York said about the chicken, they actually give you the history on where they come from. So, you know, chickens are not new. Now, you see things about hens in the Bible and certain other literature, but they're actually talking about gray winged fowls and red winged fowls. That's what they was calling hens and chick hens back then. This new chicken that we talking about is totally false, and it's not only a hybrid, but it's GMO, and it's causing a lot of sicknesses, and it's one of the number one cancerous causing artificial meats in the world, y'all. Chicken causes cancer. And if you want to get down into the actual science of it, I mean, all of the political science, all you have to do is go on my YouTube, Yaki Awaken, and look at all of the, and you can cite this stuff. All you got to do is Google it. And I'm offering $5,000 to anybody to clinically prove me wrong. $5,000. If you can go on there and dispute that with other articles, or you can dispute that with anything that is actually holds up and stands that's got a credible source that's behind it, I will give you some money showing you that I'm willing to bet everything on my bottom dollar that chicken is artificial. Chickens are new. Same thing with the cow. The cow actually comes from a Mexican black bull and a white Brahma bull from West Africa. That's where you get your modern day cow from. You know, and Dr. Sebi been saying this for years. It's just now we have the science to prove this stuff. The vulture, which is your modern day turkey. The turkey comes from the vulture. Look at them. They look just alike. So, you know, we've been eating things and calling it food, but the true food for human beings is a fruit diet, a frugivore diet, you know, and limited vegetables.
So we're about to have an uncomfortable conversation today, and it's about the meat that I've loved most in my life, the chicken. This was created in 1570 from the jungle fowl and the vulture. In order to do this, the jungle fowl had to be domesticated. Chicken was created because of impoverished times, but it wasn't meant to be permanent food, much like the lobster, which is an insect of the sea, and they gave the prisoners first and somehow made it a delicacy. Let me ask y'all a question. What does a vulture eat? And why am I bringing this up? Oh, those white chickens need to be in very strict conditions because they are very, very weak. And if you saw some of these places these chickens are in, you wouldn't want to eat it anymore. When we eat things that are not supposed to be here, our body does not respond to them well. Let's say if you ate a wild turkey, your body will not respond to the genetics of a wild turkey in an adverse way, like it does the chicken. Many of these problems we deal with is because we eat chicken. Remember, you are what you eats, and that chicken needs to eat maggots.
Don't eat the chicken. What they're doing to the chicken right now is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord. Especially, don't you eat those turkeys. The point is what they're doing to the chicken. Over the last couple years, specifically, I have been trying to warn people not to eat the chicken because over the last couple years, you've also seen that commercial, that one place that starts with a K, an F, and then a do you see? And this is just one example. And it doesn't matter if you hit him with the old Mike Tyson, because that's garbage chicken too. I can't say too much because of regulation, but basically they're taking this cleaning substance and they're mixing it in with the
Eating chicken is satanic? Definitely could be. I believe so. All of the animals that we are able to eat are usually herbivores and don't eat blood, correct? Chickens are known for eating unclean things like worms or even mice who still have the blood in them. Look at what it says about us touching unclean things. Leviticus 11:24. You will make yourselves unclean by these. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean till evening. If an animal eats blood or touches unclean things, I am sure that it's unclean. Amen?
You think a pig is nasty? A chicken is a disgusting animal. Disgusting. First of all, this bird, watch this, who can't fly, he can't go higher. His flight is always temporary and then he goes down. His flight is inconsistent. Some of y'all don't have a discipline problem. You have an inconsistent problem. I'm going to talk to one of my spiritual sons today. His giving is too inconsistent to work with me. You don't have a discipline. You have an inconsistent problem, but you're eating an inconsistent animal who can't fly, and it is nasty. Do you hear me? A chicken is nasty. It is disgusting. The chicken will defecate in the dirt and then turn around and eat it. A chicken eats its own waste.
Agree with you on pigs versus chickens, which one's dirtier. In the industrial market, in the industrial space for growing these animals, both are terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
Indoors, no sunlight, terrible air, highly crowded, poor diet. It checks all the boxes of just like a horrific life.
Yeah.
Having said that, chickens don't urinate. They poop only. If you didn't know that,
Yeah.
right? Pigs are mammals as opposed to birds, and so I think in the toxicity buildup versus toxicity exit strategy, I think chickens are more limited in their ability to
eliminate
toxicity.
Yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
I would always make this example. You love chicken? I love chicken too. I didn't quit eating chicken because I didn't like it. But check this out. If you burned yourself and it blistered, what's in the blister? And they would say, pus or body fluids. And I'd say, okay. So you take that piece of chicken, you stick it in the oven, you pull it out and you open it up. What is that stuff oozing out of that chicken? And they'd go, and I was like, they've taught you that stuff easing out of that chicken is juice. It's body fluids. You've subjected it to high temperatures. You've cooked it, and now that stuff is oozing out. But you would never prick that burn. You would never think about pricking that burn and sucking those juices.
No, you wouldn't.
I would do that.
Yeah.
People come in and
How'd that speech go over
they
with
tell
people,
me they tell me that story. A lot of them have transitions because of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we think enough about what we're eating, what we're really eating, what we're really ingesting.
Sick fillet.
Well, it's a play on words, of course, and you got to be black people. They when I said McDevils, everybody was like ha ha ha. I said Taco Hell, ha ha ha. White Casket instead of White Castle, ha ha ha. Kentucky Fried Chicken, ha ha ha. When I said Long John Killers, they was fine. When I said the Murder King, they was fine. But black people got an emotional attachment to this Chick-fil-A spot. So when I said Chick-fil-A, well, I had to get extra security. So I was sitting one day drinking some coffee, and I was looking at the line at Chick-fil-A. 3 lines starting at 10:30 in the morning, and I stayed there for an hour. It never let up. I said, ain't no way in hell that a chicken sandwich tastes that good. So I said, let me see. I wonder what they're putting in it. And I started doing the research right at the time that you remember, in the hood there was this argument, Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A, and everybody was going back and forth, and you seen people at Popeyes, man got shot. Man shot somebody because they didn't have no more chicken sandwiches left. I said, this ain't no regular chicken sandwiches. So I went and looked up Popeye's chicken sandwich. Come to find out, they have over 40 ingredients in the Popeye's chicken sandwich. 32 of them were man-made chemicals. And I said, well, let's see what Chick-fil-A has. Over 50 chemicals in the chicken sandwich. Over 40 of them were man-made chemicals. I said, so hell, this is a dope sandwich. So they really are flipping birds over there. Because there's no way in the world to justify. So whenever I seen that, I said it in a message, and someone took the clip of it and then went on the website of Chick-fil-A, had it broke down where they were clicking on it, showing all of the ingredients and these chemicals that were in it. Do you know the next day Chick-fil-A took that down off their website? So now you can't find the ingredients to the Chick-fil-A sandwich or the Popeye's chicken sandwich, because they don't want you to know that they're drugging you, they're doping you, that they have you wanting the food not for nutritional value, but because you become addicted by the MSG and the other chemicals that they've inserted in, that also are immune system disruptors. They ill affect your brain, mess with your arteries, and any foreign substance automatically activates the immune system, which means our bodies, when we eat this kind of food, they're fighting an unnecessary battle. So when the real battles of disease show up, the systems are too worn out by fighting these small battles every day from bad eating, that they can't handle a virus when it shows up.
I am the vine of truth, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that bears not fruit, He takes away.